Hey everyone, welcome to the kitchen. Tonight we're going to be making Thai coconut curry with fresh spring rolls. Over to my right we got Taylor. You may recognize her from our last live.
Hello, hello.
And she's going to be helping us out. So to start out, we're going to get sanitized with hand sanitizer or washing our hands. Obviously right now we want to keep everything clean, make sure we're staying hygienic. Is that the word that I'm looking for?
I think so.
Hygienic. All right. We're gonna give it a couple minutes, let everyone get online and make sure everyone can join us because you don't want to be missing out. It's pretty delicious, it's pretty awesome, and it's a great way to show off to your friends while we're all in quarantine or your family. So while we're waiting, we're gonna go through a couple things. We want to make sure that you have your rice rinsed before we start. So a lot of people at home don't rinse their rice, so make sure you do. Rice is usually just scooped right up off of drying racks and put into the bag. So you want to make sure you rinse it to get all of those contaminants off of your rice. So make sure you do that. We already did that. We're gonna start the rice off first. I know that we put it optional that some of you could do quinoa or any really starch that you want to go with to put the curry over, or if you just want to have the curry, then go for it. That's your choice. So we're going to start the rice off very first. So when you're making rice is always 2 to 1. So 2 cups of water for 1 cup of rice. So we're going to have our rice started out first so it's ready to go when we have everything else coming off the stove. All right, Tay, we're going to measure this out. Since I rinsed it, it's like a little in there, so we're just gonna scrape it off.
Do you need any water?
Oh yeah, we're gonna go fill it up with water here in a second. So you can measure it out, like I said, the 2 to 1. And then I just double the water over the rice as well. That's another option to do it. And make sure you add some salt to your rice. You don't want bland rice coming out of your pot. All right, so we got our rice in there. I'm gonna set this back here. And then we're gonna go fill our pot with some water. All right, and as I mentioned before, make sure you season your water. The more seasoned your water is, the more seasoned your rice is gonna be coming out. So if you wanted to, you could throw in some like powdered ginger. I know you have that usually in your cupboard. You could do salt and pepper. If you want to throw in a little bit of spice, you could do red chili flakes. That comes out really awesome in rice. So make sure you have a lid for whatever pot you're putting your rice in. Close it, and you're gonna go ahead and turn, oh, wrong lid.
That's what I'm here for.
Use the right lid, you guys. That would be your first step, right? Make sure it fits or else you're gonna boil over. So then you're gonna turn on your oven. Make sure it goes on high, and we're gonna let that sit on high until it starts boiling, then we're gonna go ahead and just turn it off, all right? So our next step is we're gonna cut an onion. So secrets with onions, if you have a problem with crying while cutting your onion, try throwing it in the freezer or refrigerator. So onions have little cell walls within them, and when you cut through those cell walls, there's a liquid gas that comes out, and it combines with the closest liquid. So usually that's a liquid in our eyes, and it causes sulfuric acid, and that's what causes you to cry. But if that gel or liquid that's coming out is cold, it oozes out slower, therefore you don't have as much chance of contamination. All right, so the easiest way to cut an onion is to go in half, like so. You wanna try and keep this little root end, you want to keep that intact. We're only going to be using half of it for today. I'm going to clear that off. And then you're going to go ahead and cut off that top. With that top gone, you're going to peel back your first layer to get all of that skin off. Taylor, do you know how to cut an onion before this? Do you cut it right?
No.
You do it wrong? How do you cut an onion?
I let my mom cut it.
Cut it. Okay, good. That's one way to do it.
No. I just kind of cut it across that way.
Okay, perfect.
And I don't put it in the fridge.
You don't put it in the fridge?
Or the freezer, no.
Do you usually cry with your onions though?
Yes.
See?
All the time. They make me so sad.
So sad. All right. So now we've got a naked onion, right? You still got your root intact. You're gonna go through and make little cuts this way. And you don't want to be cutting all the way through. So you can see if I fan it out, you're still intact. So you don't want to be cutting all the way to the very end. Just making your little cuts. All right. And then you're just gonna do one across. Again, you're not gonna go all the way through the onion, all right? You're gonna leave it intact. It still is a full thing. And then you're just gonna run your knife through and you're gonna have perfect little dices.
So what's the best way to cut an onion without cutting your fingers?
Keep your fingers pulled back would be the first thing. You wanna keep your fingers tucked as you are cutting the onion. And then when you get down, if you're feeling unsafe, right? Even at this point, you could go down to here and just run your knife through the edges of it to keep it diced.
So how long have you been cooking?
So I've been a professional chef for 10 years now. I've been here at Dixie State for 3 years. Love it here, it's so fun, so exciting. That's actually how I met Taylor, our lovely assistant tonight. But yeah, never been a dull moment. So now that we have our onion, that's gonna be the first thing to go in our pan. So when you're making the curry, we're trying to do everything in the one pan. Nobody wants to do extra dishes. Nobody wants to have all of this cluttered. So you're wanting to be able to dump everything in here, put the lid on, let it marry, let all of those seasonings and stuff get real nice. So we're gonna go ahead and turn on the oven. We're gonna turn it to a medium heat. And then you're gonna add your coconut oil. You can use olive oil, anything that you have at home. I like the coconut oil because we're going with the coconut theme today. All right, once you have your coconut oil in, we're gonna let that melt down a little bit. And then we're gonna add in our onions. If you have a foldable cutting board, it's real nice because you can just do this. If you don't have a foldable cutting board, you can just scrape it off. Just use your hands to get all those bits out. All right. Also, we're keeping our vegetables on one cutting board and keeping all of our raw product. For instance, all of our chicken that we're gonna be using tonight, our shrimp. You don't wanna be using the same cutting board in case of like a cross-contamination. We don't wanna be making anyone sick during this quarantine, okay? All right, so we're just gonna brown our onions in the coconut. And while I'm getting these done, I'm gonna turn them down a bit and we're gonna start cutting our chicken. So over here, we're gonna pull the chicken from the fridge. And so if you're wondering about a pound, let's say that you don't have a scale at home, your average chicken breast is usually gonna be around 5 ounces. So then you need the 16 ounces to a pound. So 3 and a little bit, but for tonight, we're just gonna do the 3 chicken breasts on here. And when you're cutting your raw food, you wanna make sure that you're using gloves or that you have access to a hand washing sink. We definitely don't wanna be spreading that raw chicken everywhere, so stay sanitized. All right, so when we're cutting our chicken, you wanna go into cubes. So we're gonna cut across. For these chicken breasts, we're gonna go into 3, and then we're just gonna do quarter-size cubes. All right, like so. And a lot of people, as we're going, they talk about, should I use a straight edge knife? Should I use a serrated knife? So the difference between the two is on the serrated knives, you have little teeth, and then in between the teeth is actually your sharp part. So usually I would say a straight edge can be used for anything, but if it feels dull and you're doing damage to your product, meaning like a tomato, we've probably all been there where you cut a tomato and it smashes and becomes tomato sauce as opposed to like tomato slices. Go ahead and use a serrated. The teeth will help you go, and you're gonna saw back and forth instead of pressing down like you would with a straight edge knife. So Taylor's gonna come over and finish up these chicken cubes for me while I check on the onions. Oh, you can already smell those onions.
Mm-hmm. They smell real good. And
also,
I'm not crying.
You may notice that I'm using a metal spoon. If you're at home and you have a Teflon pan, please do not use a metal spoon on your Teflon pan. Go ahead and use a rubber spatula, as long as it's heat safe, right? And then, or a wooden spoon is usually my favorite thing to use in the kitchen, but don't be scratching up your pans. Your parents won't be mad. Your parents will be mad, not they won't be mad. Your parents might get upset, you'll be upset because then your pans are ruined. So So make sure only use metal on other metal pans or cast iron pans. Perfect. All right, so as we're letting those go, we'll go ahead and start getting our other items prepped. So ginger, I always prefer to use fresh ginger as opposed to the powdered ginger. A lot of people avoid it because they're scared of the ginger. You shouldn't be scared of the ginger. Not me, the ginger, but like this, the ginger. When you're doing ginger, lots of people try and take a vegetable pillar to it, which is gonna cause a headache, and then you're definitely gonna be scared of the ginger, okay? So you wanna actually use a spoon. It sounds crazy, but it's not. And you're just gonna rub your spoon along the ginger, and you'll see that it peels it really nice. If you are at the store and you see a large piece of ginger, a lot of people don't know as well, if you don't need as big a piece of ginger as what's available, you can just break off what you need and take that and leave the other piece there. You're not doing a disservice to anyone. It's like the normal thing to do. So don't be afraid to break it off, that you don't need a huge root of ginger.
Hey Chef, we just want to let those at home know who are watching, feel free if we're moving along too fast to pause and go back, and you can go back on YouTube and check any of the ingredients, and also feel free to ask any questions that you might have along the way. Chef will answer them as we are going through.
Yes, I will answer any questions that may come up or accidents where, you know, we're all learning together. Let's say we drop the cucumber or something, let's talk about it. Let's find a solution. All right, so once you have your ginger peeled, you want to move your peels out of the way so we're not getting those in there. You're going to go ahead and trim off a piece of your peeled ginger. It smells so good. I love ginger. You got that done?
Yes.
All right. And then you're going to go through your ginger a couple times and do some thin slices. Then you're going to line those thin slices back up and go through them again. We're just trying to get a little bit of a mince. So with ginger, it's pretty fibrous. I don't know, you know what that word is all the way, but it's pretty tough. So you want to break up all those teeny tiny fibers that are within the ginger so that you don't have a huge piece coming at you. It's pretty strong, it's pretty powerful, it's pretty awesome. We definitely want it in our recipe, just not a huge piece.
So do we have to use fresh ginger?
No. Oh. So if you are using powdered ginger, and you'll notice on the recipe, any kind of powdered ingredient, especially in like spices or in like anything that's dehydrated, fresh, you want to use double what it calls for dry, if that makes any sense. So like if it called for a tablespoon of powdered ginger, you'd want to do 2 tablespoons of fresh ginger. So that stuff is more condensed and a little bit more powerful. But I just love fresh ginger so much more than powdered, but I get it. At this time, we may not be able to find the fresh ginger. And even other times, fresh ginger is rough to find. So Tay is done with our cube chicken. I'm gonna have her bring it over, and we're gonna go ahead and add that to our onions and our coconut oil that's going. And we're gonna turn up our heat just a little bit. All right, Tay, I'm gonna have you over here.
Okay.
I'm gonna have you stir that chicken until it's browned. So with the onions, you may notice that we have like garlic and the ginger that's going in after this. You don't want to add those first because those have a tendency to char and burn pretty quick, where the onions can hold up and they're a little bit more heat resistant. They also get a nice like caramelization that happens with them, where with the ginger and with the garlic, you have to be really careful.
Hey Chef.
Yeah.
Marilyn is wondering, what if she's using paste ginger?
Paste ginger. So use your paste ginger, same as fresh ginger, and you'll be okay. So they preserve that. They basically preserve it in like oils and stuff like that, hence why you have to keep it in the refrigerator. But yeah, use it as the fresh ginger, same amount. All right, so we're gonna brown our chicken. Again, we did it in those smaller pieces, so this isn't a really long process. We're not gonna be cooking our chicken all the way right now. We're just gonna be kind of searing the outsides, and then as we add the liquid, we're gonna kind of let this go for a while, as we're working on our fresh spring roll. So that way everything's coming out at the exact same time and we're not having to worry about having rice sitting forever or having the spring rolls sit. So we're just looking for the white and brown color on the chicken as we're stirring it. All right. And then if you want to just let this sit, let it brown for a little bit, that's a-okay. We're gonna grab some water. I'm gonna send Taylor over to the sink to start doing our noodles for the fresh spring rolls. All right, Tay, and you only wanna fill that pan up probably halfway.
Okay.
All right, it already smells awesome, so like that's a good sign. All right, with your water, and this is the noodles just for clarification for the fresh spring rolls. So we wanna be making those as we're combining this. Again, we're all about timing, all about getting this out at the exact same time. Nobody wants to smell all this goodness and not be able to eat it for like another half hour. So we're all about the meal being done at the same time.
Would you like me to just boil the noodles?
Yeah, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring that water up to a boil, and then we're gonna add your noodles and immediately turn the water off. So these noodles, the rice noodles, you can just soak them in water if you have the time and they'll rehydrate. That's probably gonna take 35-ish minutes until it gets to the consistency you want. For tonight, we are just gonna be using the hot boiling water. It hydrates them like lickety split, and then we can rinse them and start making our rolls so that we're all ready to go.
Chef Oziah is wondering if there's a substitute for the shrimp in the spring rolls.
Yes, so I am aware that shrimp is a huge allergy for a lot of people. So when I make spring rolls, because we want a substitute. When I make spring rolls at home, I sometimes use chicken, so you can use shredded chicken. You can use, if you have some leftover sliced chicken, you can use pulled pork. I've done pulled pork and mango in them, and it's so delicious. Any protein is really gonna go awesome inside of them. Whatever protein you do use, however, you wanna make sure that it's cooled down, because if you add a hot protein, you're gonna burn through your rice paper, and then you're gonna have not beautiful rolls, which isn't what we're going for, Oziah. So use chicken or pork or anything.
Can't you just make them vegetarian too?
Yeah, or just have them vegetarian. They are vegetarian and naturally vegan if you just take out the protein on them. All right, so now we have our chicken going. You can see the color on it. It's not all the way cooked through. If I was to cut through one, you'd still see a little bit of pink, okay? We're gonna go ahead and add in our garlic, and we're gonna add in our ginger.
Chef, while you're doing that, Jamie is wondering, is there a benefit to metal pans versus nonstick?
So really it comes down to preference. I grew up on a ranch, farm style house location. I don't know, my parents, that's how I was raised. So I was raised on cast iron, and cast iron has always stuck with me. I do know, however, when I moved out, a lot of my roommates had the Teflon. They loved the nonstick. But no, there's not a real, the only downside on cast iron or metal pans, they tell you to avoid like acidic sauces such as tomatoes, stuff like that. It can break down on the iron. But no, it all comes down to preference, comes down to what's easy, what you have, what's at home, because we're all staying home and staying safe right now. So use what you got. Use what you got. All right, so we have our ginger in, we have our garlic in, we have our onions in. Next, we're gonna add in our coriander. And again, remember, we're just doing a one pot dump, so we don't have to worry about all the dishes after. And then we're gonna add in our curry paste, our red curry. I love red curry. Tay, have you ever had red curry?
Yes.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes, it is delicious. All right, is that water boiling yet, Tay?
Not really. I have it on high, but
It's good. Give it a
It's getting
second.
there. It's getting
What do they say? Like boiling, it never boils while you're watching it. A pot of
Yes.
water never boils while being
Never-
watched.
Never heard that, but I
You
mean.
never did.
No.
Well, they say it, okay? People do. All right, I'm gonna have you hand me the coconut milk over there. All right, so now we're just adding everything in except for your brown sugar and your cilantro. Those things are gonna go in at the end with the lime juice. They're kind of our little kickers after this sits on the stove for a little bit. All these flavors are gonna get together, they're gonna marry, they're gonna condense a little bit so they're a little bit stronger of a flavor.
So is this like one of your favorite meals?
Yes, so I love, love, love Thai food. But this meal is great because it's just so fresh. So after you eat this, you definitely feel full, but you don't feel
Heavy full.
Like heavy full, right? You
Like I gotta go take a nap.
You feel great. You feel sassy. You feel fine. All right. So in this as well, we're going to add our carrots. So they have time to cook with the curry. So we're gonna throw some of those in. So a cup and a half. And stir those in. The rest are gonna go over to you. Also, you'll notice that we're reserving all of our spinach. You don't wanna put your spinach in right now. Spinach is a pretty fragile little leaf. So the longer it sits, the more likely it's gonna break apart. And you're gonna have pieces. It's gonna look a little brown and sickly if you cook it too long when we want those like bright, vibrant colors. All right, so we got this all in. We're gonna leave it on the medium heat. I see my rice is starting to steam, which tells me it's getting pretty close. Was that hot?
A little bit. It's okay.
All right, if you're at home, let's make sure we learn from Taylor. You're gonna grab your hot pads, which are back here.
That I just put away. I didn't
Let me
think I would
give you
need
that.
it.
Safety first, we discussed this. All right, so check your rice. My rice is boiling, so we're gonna go ahead and turn it off. All right.
So how's the perfect way to cook rice? I am not the best at cooking rice.
You aren't?
They are either super hard
Or
or yeah.
So rice you really got to be patient with. Obviously there's a bunch of different kinds of rice. You can get like minute style rice, you could get parboiled rice, or you get rice straight from Indonesia from the rice fields, right? So the most raw rice is gonna take your longest to cook. If you have parboiled, it's gonna take less. They're partly hydrated. And then if you have minute rice, obviously that's gonna take your least amount of time. But letting it sit, giving it patience, giving it love, letting it fully form into the rice it's meant to be. The less you lift up that lid, the more hydrated and better your rice is gonna be. So don't lift it up, don't let that steam escape. It's precious steam. We wanna keep it in there, so don't lift it up.
So do you like cooking rice on the stove or in a rice cooker?
So rice cookers are nice because you can just put the rice in, set it aside, plug it in, set your timer. I always do mine on the stove. I don't even own a rice cooker, but they're awesome. So if you have one, use one, take advantage of it.
It's
Why
probably
not?
because you make everything like,
From scratch?
yeah.
Yeah, I try to. All right, so Tay is seeing that this water is boiling. We're gonna go ahead and add our rice noodles. Like I said, as soon as we add them, we're gonna be turning off the heat. We don't wanna overhydrate these rice noodles.
Just put them in.
Yep, just drop them in. Don't use our fingers as we're pushing it down in case we get burnt. Great job, Tay, coming in with the fork.
Woohoo.
I'm gonna go ahead and clear some of these dishes while Tay is doing that.
So take them off the heat.
Yep, so let's go ahead and turn the heat off.
Hey, Chef.
Yeah.
Spencer's wondering what the difference between the different rice grains is.
The different rice grains. So I think you're talking about like short grain rice and botan rice and stuff like that. So the shorter your grain of rice is, the more starch it's gonna produce and absorb. Therefore, hence why like Japanese style cultures usually use a smaller grain of rice because they like it in their sushi rolls. It sticks together, it forms better. There's a lot of people that argue that it makes a better fried rice because you can char more of its side and dry it out a little bit more, as opposed to like a basmati. If you've ever had basmati rice, you're gonna be looking at something like Indian food. It's more separated and it spreads out more. So they stay individualized as opposed to clumping together like the shorter grain. So if you're going for a sticky rice, you want small grain. If you're going for like a base of Indian food, you're gonna wanna go for like a basmati or a jasmine. All right, so you will notice that your noodles like hydrate and soften almost right away. So we're gonna go over to the sink and we're gonna drain them. They're ready to go. We're gonna drain them and put them in a little pan. And by we, I mean Taylor is gonna do that for us because she's a great little helper.
Yes.
Yes.
The best.
And Chef, we just want to let everyone know that the recipe is located just right below in the description for the video, so you can find everything that you'll need right there.
Yes. And please join us. Okay.
Yes.
So she's drained them, and you can see some steam is coming off. And if you remember what I said about your protein previously, so your protein, like your chicken, it has to be cold in order to work with the rice paper that we're gonna be using. So I'm gonna send Tay back to the sink and we're gonna rinse out with cold water until the noodles themselves are cold. And then make sure they're drained off really well, shake all that water off. And then we're also gonna fill up a large bowl. If you have a sink right here next to your work area, don't worry about filling up the bowl. You can just go ahead and run the rice paper underneath the running water of your sink until the rice paper starts to get soft. We'll show you what we mean and what kind of consistency and texture we're looking for here in a second. But for tonight and for the use of this kitchen, we're gonna fill this up with water, and that's how we're gonna hydrate our rice paper for the fresh spring rolls. Okay, no. All right, and you just need enough water so that it will cover your rice paper. These spring rolls are one of my absolute favorite recipes. They're an awesome way to show off, and I'm sure a lot of you have had them before if you've gone to any kind of Thai food restaurant. But they're so beautiful, they're so colorful, and a lot of people, you'd be surprised, I think, haven't had exposure to these, and they're not really positive on how versatile they are. But you can show off if you have like edible flowers, orchids, anything you want to put in there for color. And then for each season, you can kind of incorporate them and make them awesome. So for tonight, we are going to be using the shrimp. And with the shrimp, we did ours pre-cooked. If you don't have yours pre-cooked, when you're cooking shrimp, you just want to watch for it to go to the white color. You don't want it to go a dark pink. That means we're overdoing it. You're overworking your shrimp, which is going to result in like a pretty tough chew and a weird consistency that a lot of us don't prefer. All right, I'm going to put my gloves on again as we're working with the raw product. With the shrimp, so these ones are already detailed and deveined. We're going to go ahead and just cut them in half, long ways. All right, and then they just lay flatter in the spring roll. I know if you've ever had them, I know like any Thai place I've gone to, you see the shrimp is like front and center. So first and foremost. All right, so Tay, I'm gonna have you start hydrating a rice paper while I'm working on this. If you'll grab just one of those, you can move them over there if you want while I'm doing this.
Hey,
and
Chef,
yeah.
Just really quick, Jordan is wondering, are there any good substitutes for coriander?
Coriander. So a lot of people just add more ginger for coriander. Coriander has a very kind of spicy, cinnamony taste. You could do a quarter of the amount of like cinnamon would taste great. Anything that's just gonna add warmth to your dish, that's usually coriander's part in any recipe. So yeah, you could just do more ginger, because who doesn't like more ginger? Or you could do a cinnamon, but only do a quarter of the amount if you're gonna be doing the cinnamon. All right, so you can see Taylor has submerged our rice paper, and already you can see that the consistency of the rice paper is starting to soften up on her. It's starting to get a lot more pliable and usable. When you're doing these spring rolls, don't be afraid to throw in a bunch of different vegetables. You can use anything that's in your fridge. I've done some with squash. Like I said, with mango we've done before. So really, you can make these in a variety of ways. All right, that's gonna be the amount of shrimp that we do for now. I'm gonna go ahead and use a hand sanitizer again. All right, so you have your rice paper laid out. You're gonna wanna put whatever product you want to show on your rice paper or what you want to present on your roll very first. So we're gonna do shrimp for this one. And we're just gonna put the 2 tails. Taylor's checking on our curry while we're doing that. How does it smell?
Good.
You're gonna grab a pinch of your noodles and you're gonna kind of comb through them, get all the loose ones, and then you're just gonna pinch with your thumb to cut it off. You're gonna lay those on top of your shrimp. We're kind of making little mini burritos that are delicious and fresh and awesome. The basil leaf and mint are gonna go next on mine. Again, if you couldn't find mint, if you couldn't find basil, don't worry about it. Substitute it with something else, throw in another herb. Cabbage, you could use purple cabbage, you could use regular cabbage. You wanna cut it pretty fine. Anything that you use, be aware of how fragile the rice paper is and it will tear. So you just wanna make sure you don't have any sticks coming out of the rice paper. You want them to be like pretty encased.
Hey, Chef.
Yeah,
Clay is wondering, can you use kale instead of spinach?
yes, you can. So kale has a pretty strong flavor. So I would suggest using less, maybe cutting it in half, but you definitely could use kale or any green.
We
All right.
also, sorry, we had
No, you're great.
someone who was a little distracted while you were giving instructions. They were wondering what liquid you added to the chicken.
So we added the coconut milk to the chicken. So we threw in the coconut milk. Tay, you can go ahead and turn that down on low.
Okay.
And the coconut milk is the only liquid. The rest is just what's coming off of the onions and the chicken. So it's gonna be like a chicken broth, kind of a little bit of a stock. So we'll go back to the spring rolls. Are we good with the questions for a second?
Linda was wondering just quickly, can
Yeah.
she add scrambled eggs to give it a bit of yellow?
Yeah, go for it. So eggs are used a ton in Asian cuisine. So you can use a scrambled egg, do a quick omelet. That could be your protein. Anything, I mean it. You could be so creative with these. All right, so you're gonna roll your spring roll. As you're rolling it, you wanna make your end piece that you tuck in kind of a triangle, or else you'll have an odd shaped spring roll. And it's sticky, but don't be afraid of the stick, okay? And if it rips a little bit, it's okay. Luckily, this rice paper, with its stickiness, is easy to repair just by rolling it over. All right, and there's our first spring roll. So I'm gonna have Taylor come over. She's gonna keep working on these and getting all of these ready. While she's doing that, I'm gonna cut up a cucumber. Cucumbers are optional as well. They add a great texture, especially if you are taking out your chicken or taking out your shrimp or taking out a little bit of your chew. They plug in really well. So if you are using an English cucumber, you don't need to, or a cucumber with a thin pill on it, you don't need to worry about pilling it. If it is something that has a thick pill, you want to make sure that you pill it. That adds bitterness and an odd texture that we probably just don't want in our spring rolls. But it's up to you. If you like the consistency of the pill, then go for it. If you don't like the consistency of a pill, then let's get rid of it. All right, so when you're cutting a cucumber, I know a lot of people are really scared of cucumbers or anything that is circle shaped. They're worried about it rolling, about it causing them harm. If you are worried about that, you can go ahead and just cut your edge so that you have a flat surface to work with. It's not gonna roll anywhere. It's just gonna stay where you want it, and no one's fingers are gonna get cut off, which is like what we're going for. All right, so you're gonna do thin slices down your cucumber. And again, we're doing this as another option to put in your spring rolls. If you like cucumber, let's do it. If you don't, then don't worry about it. This spring roll is for you and you only, so make it how you want it. All right, then you're gonna stack your ends and you're gonna cut through to make nice little strips. And then you're gonna go ahead and transfer those strips over to Taylor or to whoever you have helping you. Or if you don't have anyone helping you, this is chilling. The rice is chilling, so we can all be over here rolling.
Hey, and Chef Mick, we have virtual dinner party saying hello from Canada.
Hello from Canada. I hope everyone's doing great in this time. It's kind of crazy right now. Tay, how's it going over there?
Oh, it's going.
It's going. So
I'm trying.
It does take a little bit to get the hang of. Don't let it intimidate you. Keep working with it. If you're worried about it ripping, then just don't hydrate it as much as you had previously. Work with it a little bit tougher. It will continue hydrating on your plate or on your counter, depending on whatever you chose to go with. As long as your counter is clean and sanitized, feel free to roll them just directly on your counter. How'd you do? All right, so Tay, so this is what we're gonna point out. I made this mistake so many times. You'll see she kind of has a little tail on the end of her spring roll. So that means that we didn't make the triangle as we were folding it in, meaning the top part has to be more narrow than your base part. So as you're rolling it, you keep that nice secured shape.
Thanks for ratting me out.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Well, do it. All right, while Tay's doing that, we're gonna go ahead and work on the dip for these spring rolls. I love this dip so much. If you have an allergy to peanut butter, just go ahead and omit the peanut butter. You don't gotta worry about it. Just cut it out. It's not gonna hurt anything. You'll still have a delicious dip just without the peanut flavor, all right? All right, so we got our sweet chili sauce. We're gonna add that to a bowl. Okay. And then we got our peanut butter. Again, if it's an allergy or a worry for you or someone in your house has the allergy, just don't use it. And then we got our hoisin sauce. Again, we're using something that we're just dumping all in one. Reduce the dishes and the amount people have to see and do. And then the easiest way to stir all of this is going to be just with a fork. If you use a whisk, you're gonna get it in between the whisk. Peanut butter doesn't love being incorporated to other sauces. It's pretty tough, but if you're using a fork, you should be a-okay. So I would avoid whisks in this circumstance. Taylor, how's that one going over there?
Almost done.
Did you keep it?
I am not the very best when it comes to cooking.
They taste just as good and just as delicious. Did you put the cucumbers in that one that we brought over?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Been putting all of it in there.
So if you had like edible flowers like pansies or orchids, it's so pretty to put those as your base, and then you just have an awesome flower. Lots of people use it as a way of showing off. I use it as a way of showing off. So
what a show off.
I know, that's me. You should definitely try it out, especially here while we're all locked away at home.
Will it taste any different because it is a flower?
No, so a lot of the flowers have a really passive flavor and a really passive taste. All right, and this is it. This is gonna be your dipping sauce. So you're looking for this consistency. You want it to be thick enough to stick to the rice paper and not fall off. The easiest way to do it, if you're passing it around to people, is to have a spoon, scoop it up, and spread that onto your spring roll. So I'm gonna set that up there. How's that one? I'm gonna come
all right,
watch
here
you.
we go.
Here we
So
go.
first you fold it down.
Hold it.
You gotta get it in there.
Tuck in the sides.
The sides, like a triangle, right?
Yep, like a triangle.
And then the other side. Whoop. It's kind of scary because
Yeah,
you're
yeah, because we're on
right
live
over
TV and also
live, and
I'm
you're
watching
watching.
Okay, Tay.
It's embarrassing.
So, it's not embarrassing. You're doing so great. You're fantastic.
There we go.
You'd add these to the menu
I wouldn't
now.
say that they're super edible looking.
They are. They're edible and they're great. Hers
But-
is so good. So if you guys notice, she is multitasking with this as well. She's putting in a rice paper as she's folding the other one. That'll help you on your timeline. It'll help you keep on top of it. These will go like hotcakes on the dinner table as well. They're so delicious and so good and have such great texture. I'm gonna come over here and we're gonna check on our curry. Oh, perfect. So you can see that it's thickening up. Oh, it looks so good. It smells so good too. You wanna come smell it, Jay? At this point, you can go ahead and add in your salt and pepper. Again, if you like it a little bit spicier, feel free to add in some garlic chili paste, just fresh chili flakes, anything to spice it up, go for it. I love spice myself, but I know a lot of us are feeding families and a lot of kids.
So let's keep it down the spice to 1.
To 1?
No, I'm just
Is that
kidding.
what you
I could
get?
go for like a 4.
A 4?
Depends.
A 4? It goes like 1 to 5 in Thai restaurants.
Just kidding. Let's go with a 3.
Let's go.
One time I got a 5 because
Yeah,
they were
how'd
like,
that go?
oh, it's like 1 out of 10. And
Yeah.
holy cow. I couldn't even finish it. It was way
Your
too.
nose running in it.
Ooh, yes. I was like, oh my
Ooh.
goodness.
Ooh, yes.
It
All
definitely
right.
cleared me up.
So we're gonna go ahead and continue adding things to this. As we all know with spinach, as you're measuring out your spinach, go ahead and press it into your cup, your measuring cup. Press it kind of as tight as it can go. Spinach looks like a lot, but as we add it to the pot, we'll close the lid and it reduces to absolutely nothing. It's like the most magical leafy green ever to exist. So we're gonna go ahead and dump in. Oh, we got some over here. That's fine, you guys. We all make mistakes, right? Okay, add those in. Makes me want to sing that song, but I won't. I'll refrain.
Are you sure?
For all-
go ahead and just
all of
say
the
one
viewers
line.
and
One line. You
viewers.
could do it.
Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has those days. You guys all know that song?
I
at
hope
home,
so.
Probably. I hope so. Yeah, if you
Better
don't
not be
know
that
that
old.
song at home, is that an old song? Does that age me?
A little bit.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so we add our spinach, put your lid back on the pot, and then we're gonna go ahead and quarter our limes. Those are gonna go in at the very end with the brown sugar and with our cilantro. This is gonna be my plate to clear things away to. All right, I'm gonna grab a bunch of cilantro over here from Tay as she keeps rolling. These are awesome too, even kids can do it. It will be a little scary. We'll have a little bit of experimentation going on with them. They
Yes.
might look funky, but it's so fun. And the texture, a lot of the time, is something nobody's seen. So you may notice, as I'm cutting up the cilantro, I did not pull the leaves off of the cilantro. So a lot of restaurants and a lot of people do pull the leaves off and just discard your little stem. So this actually holds the most flavor in cilantro. So if you're ever cooking with cilantro or want the flavor of it, you actually want to incorporate the stem and maybe use the leaves as a garnish. They don't produce a ton of flavor. So if you're going for flavor like we are in our curry, we like the strong, we like the bold, we're gonna add the stem in with our curry, let it all cook down. Again, we're not doing it until the end. We don't want to lose this beautiful color and the awesome freshness. All right, and we're just gonna stir in our spinach and we'll just watch as it disappears into almost absolutely nothing.
Are there any questions out there? Or?
Yeah, feel free to ask. Any song requests?
Taylor, I think your dad Clay is on.
Oh,
Hi, Dad.
what
And
up?
he is wondering when he comes down and sees you next, once everything is settled, how he can get some of Chef Mick's food.
We go to her house.
Yeah, Taylor knows where I live, so
No,
we can.
Well, don't you cook on campus too?
Yeah, I cook on campus. I do a lot. You could come over. Tay's helping me out, so I could probably help you guys out with some food.
But what about everybody else
Come
that's
on
viewing?
over.
Do you want everybody to come to your house?
So you can definitely find me at Dixie State University. Dixie Dining Services is where I'm at. So look at our catering menus. Come hit us up. We can help you with anything as far as like weddings, events, parties, appetizers. We got it all. You got an awesome idea? Ask me about it. Let's make it happen.
Don't you guys have some cool foods too?
Yes. Cool foods?
Like pretty awesome looking food.
Yeah, we do have some pretty awesome looking food. Like, just awesome.
Just awesome.
If you're going for awesome food, we have it at Dixie Dining.
I mean,
so come get it. All right, so we can see that the spinach is completely reduced down, which is beautiful. That's how we want it. The consistency is awesome. So at this point, we're gonna go ahead and stir in the brown sugar. And the brown sugar is just gonna add a sweetness. It's gonna add some awesome caramelization. It's gonna thicken the sauce up a little bit. It's just gonna taste awesome over rice. It's gonna taste awesome by itself. If you're doing the quinoa, go you. You can also, over these rice noodles that we made for the spring rolls, go ahead and use that and put it over those. It tastes awesome. I would obviously recommend warming them up again, because to put hot food over cold noodles, a little crazy. But if you're feeling a little crazy, then go for it. It's your life. You're living it. All right, Tay.
They are not turning out beautiful at all.
All right.
But I want to see what everybody else makes. So if you tag Dixie State or DM us at any, you can send any of your photos of your
spring rolls. Yes.
Or even
your curry.
Exactly. Just show us what you guys, create and see if you have any better spring rolls than I do.
Yeah, if you went ahead and used that egg like you were talking about, post a picture of it. I want to see it. I want to see how it turned out. I want to see the color. I want to see the awesome. I want to see creative. So post them so we can see. I promise we won't judge you. It's a judge-free zone here. We're all learning.
Oh yeah, I'm
sure learning. We are all here learning. Taylor's over here learning how to roll spring rolls. So while I was talking, I started squeezing the lime in to the curry. And again, that came just right after the brown sugar. And again, my hands are clean because we are worried about cleanliness here in this kitchen and everywhere at Dixie State University. So make sure you're washing your hands or using hand sanitizer. All right, we're gonna squeeze our limes in. And we're gonna stir that up. And we're gonna let that sit for another minute or so. Let that sugar really caramelize. Let it get that ooey gooey that we wanna see. Tay, you getting good at that?
No.
Then I'm gonna go ahead and
so
grab
sorry.
a plate. I'm gonna use this one. All right, so by this time, your rice should be ready to go. There's ours. It's good. It's reconstituted. It's awesome. At this point, if you wanted to stir in butter, or if you wanted to stir in oil or something to give it a little bit more flavor, you totally could. But this curry is banging. It's awesome. It's bold. So you don't need it by any means. We made this awesome, so you wouldn't need this to be super flavorful. It's just acting as your base, as the awesome boat that's bringing that curry into your mouth. All right, so to plate this, you can either stir in the cilantro with your curry, or if people are filtering in, I know sometimes when everyone's at home, some people are coming home later, so you set it aside. You can just leave the cilantro on the side and you can just sprinkle it on top. For tonight, we're gonna go ahead and just do that. So we got our curry smelling awesome. So we're just gonna do a scoop of the rice, fluff it up a little bit, give it some love. We're gonna do a scoop of our rice, spread it out. And then we're gonna come in with this curry and all its goodness. Look at that color, it's so beautiful. And the flavors are there. It's good for you. This is healthy. This is new, maybe not the usual chicken casserole or shepherd's pie or top ramen and mac and cheese we've all been doing during this lockdown.
Yep.
It's a little bit different, spice it up. Everyone give it a shot. It's a pretty awesome dish that's pretty easy. So there's your Thai curry and there's your fresh spring rolls. Do we have any other questions before we get ready to eat this? Because we are going to eat this.
Yeah, we can't let it go to waste.
Yeah, I don't know why we would.
Chef, we had someone wondering what brand of knives you're using.
Oh, so these are my knife sets. I've always stuck with Mercer's. A lot of people might fight me. I guess releasing that information is pretty dangerous. A lot of people have opinions, but this is a Mercer. Taylor's using some of my Mercer knives as well. I keep my own knife set with me. I have my own little bag I carry it in. That's what I do. So Mercer's. If you have something to say about it, go ahead.
Also, Linda, she just wanted to say, Taylor, great color contrast on your spring rolls.
Oh, thank you. I'm trying, you know.
coming
I
at
might have
you.
forgotten some of like the ingredients in some of them.
And see, that's fine. Like, there's no pressure. That's why I'm saying these are so easy. They look intimidating, but don't let this scare you off. They're so easy. They're so diverse in what you can use. Like we talked about using an egg. I'm serious, the mango and pork with like a Korean barbecue sauce is so delicious in it. You should definitely try that out. But you could incorporate anything as long as it's cooled down and at the appropriate temperatures, it'll roll in your rice paper and be awesome.
Even like a dessert.
Even a dessert, yeah. If you wanted to go for that, you could do like a coconut sticky rice and mango dessert.
Ooh,
I bet it'd be banging.
That would be really
Yeah, I bet it'd be delicious.
Chef, we've also just had a lot of people who have said thank you. The food looks amazing, and they're just grateful for this class. So thank you so much for your time. Is there anything else that you wanted to share with everyone?
No, this has been fun. I've liked this. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. It's been fun doing this with everyone as well as with Taylor. I got to give her some credit. She's helped us out a lot tonight. I hope everyone's staying safe, staying home, stay entertained, try some stuff out in the kitchen, get a little crazy, let your kids get involved. Be aware you're going to probably have a little bit of a mess, but that's fine.
Don't forget to post your pictures
Don't forget to post those pictures. We want to see them, and I'll respond to them. We'll let you know. I may steal some of your ideas. Who knows? Maybe on Dixie Dining this next year. We'll redo the menu, incorporate. It'll be community menu, incorporating all of your guys' ideas. All right. Is that all of our questions we have?
That's everything we've got for tonight.
Perfect.
Just big thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Taylor, I'm going to have